Did you know teachers aren't humans? They're not allowed to show stress or age, have health problems, show fear, waste time, and most of all, fail. They're not even allowed to go to the bathroom. But that's okay, because we're here to talk about how we're all just playing a role. And at 3 o'clock, we get to be us again. 40 years ago, two 8-year-old boys were bored out of their minds in school, and they vowed one day they would do something about it. They did it to honor their friends. They did it to honor their classmates. They did it for the love of learning. I'm Matt, and this is Rob. And 40 years later, we get our turn. But now we're playing teacher.
I can hear you.
Recording in progress.
Recording is in progress. Wonderful. Welcome to Playing Teacher, everyone. I am Matt. This is Mr. Rob Monahan and Brugge, and I have no idea what our topic is today because Rob didn't tell me. And I came up with my usual crappy topic, and they said, no, we have something better. So what it is, I don't know, and we're going to find out shortly, folks. What?
Do we though?
Do we have it? Yes, he has. He has a topic.
There are two.
I'm still waiting for when we could talk about desks, but that's not happening. Nobody wants to talk about it.
I considered.
No, it's fine.
I considered the desk topic, but then I remembered that last time we promised that today would be a lighthearted, funny podcast, and so I wasn't sure if desks would rise to the occasion on that one. So
because we were literally inside Rob last time. That sounds interesting, but yes, during your surgery, you took us inside you, so that's a pretty heavy topic, and I dragged on way too long talking about my psychiatrist appointment, So anyway, I watched it back and I could see Brewery like, get to the point, Matt. Get to. it's like yeah.
I'm sorry, Maddie.
No, it's hysterical.
All right, so
I was like, man, I got to stop dragging on when I tell stories. I got to work on that.
So there's two topics that I will pitch, and we can do. This is a choose your own adventure podcast series. So one of them is now, Matt. Like it'll be interesting to know what your perspective on this is because there's a difference between you and then Brugge and I for this one, and that is parking. So when coming to school, Brugge and I would often drive. Not like me, actually. I have a mix. I have a mix of driving and train, but we would, parking the car as a teacher when you are a teacher in New York City is a nightmare. And so there is, so basically like just thinking, I've had my car stolen, I've gotten tickets, I've had it hit, you know what I mean? Like all these different things. Brugge has killed pigeons, so there's all these different things.
Then you have to go out. Don't you have to move your car at a certain point? They don't really let you. You have to almost sneak out to go out and do it. It's a whole thing.
That's kind of like one thing we would talk about. The other topic is the gifts that you receive as a teacher, usually from the students. But we could also get into like Secret Santa type stuff too. But like when students give you a gift at Christmas time or end of the year, like what those gifts are, Yeah,
I got ladies' perfume ones. Okay.
Right. So which topic do we want to go with?
Choose your own adventure today.
Yeah.
Well, I would always take the train to school, so I could talk about that.
Yeah.
That would be my, as far as the, so I don't have a lot to add to
let's
dropping the car off.
No, but let's talk about the topic being just like
getting
trials and tribulations of getting to school. Yes.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
And that includes the car, it includes the train.
Yeah. My journey definitely changed through the years.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah. Brugge, I don't want to be the main decider here. Which way? What do you want? Which one? Choose your own adventure.
Honestly, I feel like I'm hungover, so you guys make the choice, and I'll.
Matt, let me tell you.
School counselor of the year over here, folks. School counselor of the year.
Let me tell you a quick story.
I think a two-time champion of that award. No.
Let me tell you a quick story.
You were the school counselor. You were the educator of the year. Yeah.
Let me tell you a quick story about Brugge this morning. I called
Mm,
her beforehand just to see, make sure she remembered that we were doing everything. And so
yep.
she's like,
No, I
"Oh,
love what she wrote me too. I have one for her, what she texted me also. So okay, you go first. Yeah.
yeah." I go, "Okay,
Mm.
oh, what are you doing?" She goes, "Oh, I'm eating breakfast." And I go, what does breakfast look like for you?" And then she was like, "Oh, I'm eating what is it called?" And she's trying to remember. And then I'm thinking that she's gonna come out with like, maybe something French, like a croque madame or like a croque monsieur,
Right.
whatever. And then or like a
So
pain
her
de
background.
chocolate,
Yeah.
And then she goes, Honey Nut Cheerios." Like
You were
took
trying to
her like 10 seconds. She was like, "What is it called? Oh,
the
what is it?
honey
What is it?
nuts
Oh,
in
Honey
the
Nut
Cheerios.
Cheerios and a banana and a berry." It's like oh, so cereal. I was like, okay,
Well,
someone
and the banana. Maybe that she forgot that she put the banana in the
someone
Cheerios.
struggling this morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like really
Uh,
hard. It's
I
really
liked it.
not
I
my
like the
fault.
text she sent me. It was so I wrote to you guys. I explained the topic, the teacher's desk, where it's placed, who gets one, it's in loose change, these things you find in it. I was talking about closet, you want to talk about storage space. And then she writes back to me, "What is this topic, Maddie? I'm dead." So then I just said, basically, we talk about desks. I don't know
she's,
how else-
she's like,
Guys,
what
this is not my
in the
but then I
fault.
tried to
This is
teach and
not
explain it
my
even
what in
more.
the hell are you talking about?
And then
this is not
I tried to say, I said there's a deeper meaning behind it, and I tried to explain it, explain it first, like what? What? Oh, what?
wait, I
That's
have to
I
back
don't
up.
know, look,
I
what is
feel
this
like this
podcast?
because
Give me my banana and cherry honey nut Cheerios, I think.
my parents went to
Mm,
Vegas and my dad asked me to drive him to the airport because it had to be there at 7 o'clock. I thought it
okay.
was 7 p.m. They had to leave at 4:30 in the morning. And I'm like, why wouldn't you just call an Uber or I'll pay for the Uber for you?
Right.
But they got offended that I offered that. So I had to drive them at 4:30 in the morning. So I ended up sleeping at their house and
Oh
I am
man.
exhausted. I am so
And
tired.
you said you're hungover, so you drank before that.
No, 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 no. I said I feel like
Oh, I thought you were actually drunk. Okay, I thought you were actually were hungover.
no, I feel like I'm hungover. I feel,
Okay, I
and
gotcha.
JFK is a hot mess. So it was like we got lost and then forget it. It was a hot mess.
Mm.
So that's why I am this way.
All right, so we won't ask you
But in
a lot of
all
difficult
honesty,
questions.
I
Well,
feel like
yes.
I'm like this most of the time.
Yeah, I don't think there's any difference. But so which topic did you want to go with though? Can we ask you that? If you're
I don't
gonna,
give a
can you
shit.
make the choice?
Whatever you want. Yeah. All right. You know what? I think the transportation. Let's go with that. Choosing that
Okay.
adventure today.
Okay.
Transportation.
Transportation. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. And I
I
have yeah, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You had something.
Well,
Oh yeah, you
I
had.
I was just going to say that like for me transportation it looks different. I was spending about $300 a month in gas going to and from work. So it was a lot of money in travel and then time also. So it's like hour and a half home, an hour and 10 there. And then it was $300 a month in gas. So it was expensive. It was
And
expensive.
what's probably also the issue is the hours changed later on. We had to get there earlier and earlier and earlier,
Oh,
like
yeah,
through
yeah.
through the
Yeah.
years. I'm going back, if you go back, if you've been in the game 20 years, the hours which it used to be, I think Rob mentioned this on one of the earlier podcasts, that it used to be like school started like 8:05, 8:10. And then now we have these days when we're there like 7:10, 7:15, like, because they put the amount of hours we have to be there for PDs and things like that, and we vote
Yeah.
on it. So those days that you have to get there really early, right? If they check to see that you're there, so you don't you almost leave so super early. I remember I would get there, and there was a bunch of us that would get there right when school started, And then the doors aren't open, so we're standing in the cold outside for like 10 or 15 minutes waiting for somebody
Yeah.
to open the door in the dark, especially when it's winter time, right? So like, it started to get crazy just and people I know there were people that were really nervous about their cars being able to find a spot, coming up with all these weird places to park, like by the gas station and working out deals and side lots. Now I took the train. So I didn't deal with that. But, at that time, later in my career, I just invested to have somebody drive me there, whether it was an Uber or somebody that I just knew and paid them like off the books just to drive
Hey,
me. And
Maddie, how
yeah,
much money a month do you think you spent going to and from work with trains and driver?
well, I didn't do the driver for years. So really it was just the train. It wasn't much. The train was, you got to figure back in the day, it wasn't even, $3 one way. So back in the day, I was spending $5 a day just to get to work. But
Mhm.
later in my, as I was aging and the time got crazy, I would on the early days, I knew if I took the train, it was just getting, the trains would just seem like they were just getting worse and worse, right? There was so many delays or something always happened. Somebody freaked out. There was some kind of problem. And, you didn't want to, this is when they were looking more at the time you're there early on when I was started to work there, I was late all the time and because they didn't care as long as you like really like did so much for the school, they didn't look at me if I put my card, they would just like go. And I remember, it was like it wasn't a big deal. And even when Rob was there, we would cover for each other and stuff like that. As
Right.
long as you made your classes and everything, you just walked in, you did what you had to do. But later I invested like I would do like two times a week it started where I would have somebody pick me up and take me. It was like $50. So I'd spend that $100 just in the morning.
One way,
Eventually, as I got older, I said,
Wait,
I'm doing
one
this
way, Maddie.
50
One way.
fifty
bucks.
dollars one way, $50 one way, yeah. And then later when it got like right at, like probably like at the end, I said, I'm just doing this every morning. So I spent 250 just to get to work, like
A
early.
week.
And a week. Yeah. A week. I did it every day. But
Wow.
that was later though. That was later when, I just said and I was having trouble, a lot of it was my morning stuff and my anxiety and all the things that I went through that like it took me a while just to get into the right state of
That's a lot
mind.
of
I
money. 250
what?
a week. I said
Yeah,
that's a lot of money. That's $1,000 a month going
I
right
know.
about going back and forth to work. Well, going to
Yep.
work. And I forgot about that people did also pay for parking. So like if you wanted to park near school, it was about $100, $200,
Yeah.
$100, 20 years ago,
So
$200 now
something
a
that people
month.
should know is like at the school we were at is in an area that is surrounded by a lot of warehouses. And
Hmm.
so like there was like a warehouse a couple of blocks away, for example, that had a parking lot that was empty. And so
Right.
they would basically allow like teachers would pay 200. It's like all this is illegal, by the way. Like, it's probably unreported income for the warehouse and not illegal to do, but illegal on the part of the warehouse. And so, they're charging the teachers $200 a piece to park the car in there. You know.
Yeah.
And so, but like for me, so I'm kind of in between the two of you. Like I had a lot of times where I took the train to work, because I lived in Manhattan. I had times where Brugge would pick me up when I lived in Queens because you would pass
Yep.
by, and then I had times where I would drive, for whether I was living in Manhattan or Brooklyn or whatever. And
Yeah.
so driving for me, I never paid for parking, so I always found parking, but that might look like parking 10 blocks away from the school. You know what I mean? And still having to go out on lunch because technically you're not supposed to leave on prep, right? So going out on my lunch to move the car, sometimes I would have like 5 minutes to run like 10 blocks, hoping that if the meter maid or whatever, if the police person who's like giving out the tickets, like you hope that they're not starting on the block where you're parked. And so, but I mean, many times I got tickets. Um, I had my car stolen once. Like I went to move the car and it wasn't there.
I had my car stolen too once.
Yeah.
I went to go find my car and it wasn't there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Damn.
So,
I know
I
someone
was,
once that went to go move their car and got hit by another car. Like, it's not
I
even
remember,
funny. Like, she ended up
I
in the hospital.
I remember that there was an unfairness, not unfairness, but like APs and principals, they don't have the same hours that we have. Even you, Brugge, like you can leave when you need to. You don't have a prep and lunch, right?
Right.
Like
Yeah, I
you don't
don't
have
have prep. Yeah.
you don't have a prep, right?
Right.
Like guidance doesn't have preps, right? It's just a
Right. Correct. Yeah.
but so what do they give you? They give you a lunch and then when can you get an extra
Yeah.
period besides
So
the lunch?
no, no.
So
I
okay,
work six and a
so you
half
just have
hours exclusive of lunch. So
but that
if
you
I
probably
wanted to
have
take
time.
my lunch, like, so what I would do is I would take like 10 minutes of, but I never even took lunch, guys. So like I would
Yeah.
take like 10 minutes out of my day to go and move my car. And outside was 4 out of 5 times a week. So I was moving my car 4 times a week
Yeah.
during
Well,
the
no,
school
but
day.
what I'm saying,
Yeah.
what I'm asking you is there a time during the day when you're not seeing kids and there's not a crisis that they just give you time to do work that's kind of like a prep and they called something different or no?
No. You make your own
No, no,
schedule, right?
no. I
No.
no, yeah, guys, there's no counselors have no like quote unquote off periods.
Does
There's
Right.
no
So you're
preps,
just
there's
kind of working
nothing.
all day. It's just different
Yeah,
kinds of things. All right. So
yeah.
if you wanted to just leave, let's say you had nothing going on and it's not your lunch, you can't step out during that time, right? To move your
Well,
car.
like I said, I would like take, yeah, yes, technically I can't, you can't just leave the building without permission, but I
Right.
would take my lunch, like I would take like a couple of
Oh,
minutes
you
of that
can,
or lunch period to go and move my car.
and you don't have to check with them to do it, or you just can work it
Mm,
out yourself.
yeah, I didn't have to check with them.
Oh, okay.
I would sign the
You
book
didn't
that
have to
I was
sign the
out.
book in the
No,
office.
I did.
Oh,
I
you did.
signed it anyway, just so that they knew that I was out of the building. But yeah, I
Yeah.
signed it anyway.
I would hate going in
Yeah.
there to sign the book because it's always still a thing. People then are like, "Where are you going? Where are you going?" You know what I mean? So,
I
I
there were a lot of teachers who weren't classroom teachers that would arrange their schedules Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday so that they had the time to go out and move their car. But
yeah.
classroom teachers couldn't move their car. So it was, they would have to maybe get, if they had to figure it out or work it out. I don't know how they did it, but that
There
sucks
was
for classroom teachers.
there was an AP, who would always move her car, right? Years ago, and Rob knows who's I'm talking about because she was somebody that we worked with closely, and we both had some issues with this administrator years ago, right? And I remember Rob and I like we had to go up to a meeting with her, and like we were like Rob's like let's just not go, like let's like go late. I'm like well, like why are we gonna do that? I was like because she's gonna move her car. That's what we're gonna say, So I was like so let's just play, continue to play ping pong, super pong. So we were playing. I was like, oh man, she's gonna get so mad. So the pressure I had, like he was so comfortable doing that, and I was there, like I was still pretty new. So I'm like, oh, man, and I just like, but I'm pretty easy to convince. I'm all right. Let's keep playing Super Pong because we love this game. So we're playing Super Pong, and the phone's gonna, it's gonna ring at any moment. You're just waiting, and we're going, and the phone's gonna ring. Like, where are you guys? And then and I remember like he's like, you answer it. So I go to the phone, and I'm like, and I just say it so bluntly. I was like. What do you mean? He was like, we're supposed to meet now. I was like, don't you move your car at this time? She was furious. She's like, she didn't even know what to say. And they were just like, come up here now. And I was like, all right. So it's like, we gotta go.
But this like reminds me of something else that's interesting though. So in I think almost every New York City public school, if you were to go to that school and you're standing on the block of the school near the entrance, you'll notice that there aren't any cars. Well, there are some, but you'll notice that there's a like at least half of the block, if not the whole block, has a sign that says no parking, 7 to 4 on school days, right? And that's not just like New York City public schools. That's like pretty much maybe it's every school. I'm not sure. And so and then so it came to my attention pretty early that the school has the ability to give out parking passes, right? So it wouldn't be uncommon for a principal, for example, to give herself a parking or himself a parking pass and to park right in front of the school in the no parking zone, right?
They did. We
Yeah,
had our
they
APs
did,
parking in
right.
front. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, and I've done this before in the city where, um, on days where I couldn't move my car, I had to leave my car in the city. I was going to get a ticket if I left it where it was. So I would park it in a school zone, and then in the dashboard I would write, official school business, and I would put my what's that number? What's the
Oh, like employee ID number?
yeah, like your but it has a name though. It's
We have file number and employee ID
PRN,
number.
your PRN or something like.
Oh, okay.
So I'd put the
I
number in
yeah.
there, like all official, and then I would come home and there would be no ticket, because like no one is like no one's going out and looking at the car and saying who like they're especially if it's like a high school, like a really big school. So,
Right.
but it always bothered me that like to me every teacher it should be like when you go by a firehouse. There's like fire or a police station. There are personal vehicles with placards in the window, and the policemen and firemen are parked by the precinct or by the fire, and that's great, good for them. We should have like teachers should have that too. And
Yeah, I agree.
listen, there's a limited number of spaces, so the first people that get there are the ones that get to park there, but it should at least be available, and it's never been made available.
No. And there's schools, like I know teachers whose administration has a lotto every month and gives away those placards so that teachers had the opportunity, and if you get it a month, then your name gets taken out of the pool,
Yeah,
which I thought, yeah, like that's the right way to do it.
yeah, that's good too.
Yeah, but yeah.
But anyway,
You
like
know,
that.
now those signs are more official. Like you can't write
No, no,
on
no, no. I
a
doubt.
piece of
Yeah, I
paper
doubt I
anymore.
can get away with that anymore. But that was
Yeah,
back in the day.
yeah.
So there's
Back in the day.
yeah, back in the day, the good old days. So, there's a story that I want to talk about too. If you grew up in New York City, or if you grew up in any city, really, one thing you'll know is that it's almost impossible when you're driving. Like this is not like the country where you see roadkill everywhere, right? You don't see a lot of roadkill in the city. You know what I mean? Like you don't see dead rats and dead mice. And one thing you never see is a
Dead
dead
people.
bird. Like birds are experts at getting out of the way of cars, right? So there could
Oh
be
yeah.
100 pigeons in the road. A car comes down at 50 miles an hour. Every single one of those birds will get away, right? You will never kill a bird
They'll
with
wait
your
to the
car.
last second and they know when
Yeah,
to move.
they it's like the
I
Matrix.
watch birds
Like,
sometimes. Yeah,
yeah,
I love watching them when they're just, flying together and they're, what's it called again when they're flying together
like a
in
flock or
groups?
something. Yeah,
The
like they're
flock and
yeah,
and they're perfectly in the
You
sky.
guys
yeah.
suck. You
Okay,
suck.
but Matt,
What?
I want
You guys
Brugge.
We're
suck.
stuck.
No, no. Now,
We're
now that
stuck.
we've now that no,
What's she
she
talking
said we
about?
suck because she thinks
Oh, we suck.
she thinks we're setting
Okay.
her up for something, which we're not.
I don't
But
really know where we're going, so yeah, so I don't know.
yeah,
I'm just
Matt's
talking about pigeons. I'm still on the pigeon. I'm actually talking about the pigeons. Yeah,
yeah,
the birds.
because of this phenomenon that it's impossible to do this. This is almost like you'll never see a baby pigeon. No one out there. No one out there has ever seen a baby pigeon. I guarantee you. But Briggy, why don't you tell us about the time that you killed two pigeons at the
Oh,
same
okay.
time
Ah,
with
I
your
see where this
car?
is.
Yeah, with your car.
That's sad.
Can you tell us that story? Because
Maybe we should take a moment of silence for the two birds that died.
That
Okay. All right, go
this
ahead.
is
Bree, what happened?
100% happened to me. I was driving to our happy hour. It was one of the first happy hours,
Hmm.
and I
Well,
pulled
I
off the
gotta say
side
that
of the
wasn't a
road.
happy hour for those two birds.
yeah, yeah, it's right. It wasn't
Sorry. Please continue.
the unhappiest hour.
Yeah, of hours.
I pulled I pulled the car over, and there were a bunch of
Mm,
high school kids on the corner. And
hmm.
all of a sudden I saw their reaction and they went, "Whoa!" And I'm like, "Oh my God, what happened?"
That
And I
lady
got
killed
out
those
of
two birds.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Wait. I'm sorry. I'm just, these are details I want to know. Did you kill them moving forward or backward?
Yeah,
Like,
I don't know. Well, now I don't know. I mean, it was so long ago, but I remember pulling into the spot
yeah.
and the kids on the corner went, "Whoa!" Like their reaction. I couldn't, and I was like, "Oh shit, what did I do?" And then I got out of my car. I didn't even feel like, I don't even remember feeling a bump.
Oh,
I called, speaking of that, I called for help to save a bird recently, and it is very hard to save a bird's life, by the way. Because I remember a bird got stuck underneath an ambulance near me, and I text the firehouse that's near me, and nobody responded, which kind of bothered me. I'm like, but if they'll text me like because I live, I'm neighborhood, and they'll text me if anything, anything's wrong or anything happened, if there's a bad storm or anything. But when I text them over something like that, I guess they're busy. I get it. But I just wanted to let them know there's a bird stuck in there. And now you guys tell me if that's too crazy. But I didn't want the bird to die when they backed up because I couldn't get the bird out. So, so I just figured, I could just text the guy to let them know before you back up, there's a bird in your thing, but nobody told me. And I called like then whoever you call for like, like for animal help and all that, I literally said, I'm trying to save a bird's life. I don't want the bird to die. So, did I go too far with that? Like, is that like too much to reach out to tell them that there's a bird stuck in your ambulance tire? Probably, right?
no,
Dave,
I don't think
I don't
so.
know that.
Brugge's nodding your head like, yeah, that's too
Yeah,
much. Yeah.
yeah.
Two birds with
He
one
wasn't.
I
stone. Two birds with one tire. That's what I always say.
listen. I'm not, I'm not into animal cruelty, but they wouldn't fucking move. So what was I supposed to
Wait a
do?
second. I'm just gonna say this. Are you claiming that you even knew that they were there?
Yeah, I was just wondering. This is
She said
becoming bird murder.
she just said I didn't even feel it. Like she just basically was like Loki when he's like,
Would
what
that
is
be like
what
bird?
is what
Would it
is
be manslaughter?
the
Would it be bird slaughter? Would it be bird
why
slaughter?
does a boot why does a boot care about the ant? Like remember?
Yes,
Well,
of course. Oh my God.
if I die and come
Dave, and
back as a
then
bird, I think
recently,
I think I'm not gonna go by her car.
guys, you get ridiculous. Recently, I was driving to school and a bird actually flew into my car. Like, not inside my car, like hit the windshield of
Yeah,
my
like
car.
It's interesting how you say the bird hit your car versus my car hit a bird.
Well, it could have flown away.
You could have slowed down. I mean, you were probably going 90 miles an hour. How fast do you think they fly, by the way?
I had a bird
She,
like fly by my house and like sort of got stuck like under in my basement. There's like this outside area, so it sort of got stuck in there. And I actually went in and just got the bird out and it looked like it was weak and stuff. And then it started to just move. I guess maybe he dropped from it. I don't know. So it started to move on, and he moved on. So like he was gone. So I don't know if he flew off or walked off. But the next day he knocked on my back door like we were friends. He like tapped, you know what I mean? And I opened it. I was like, What's that little tap thing?" And I looked down, the bird's there. It was like visiting me. I was like, it blew my mind. It was like saying
What
hi.
kind
I
of
don't,
drugs you taking, Maddie?
what?
What kind of drugs you on?
No,
The
the
birds
bird was
come and
really
knock your
there. Okay.
door.
No, the bird was there. It tapped on my door and was there. I'm
what
not
did
kidding you.
what did he say?
He said, "Good morning, Mr. Jacobs."
Did you did you give him did you give him any food or?
No, no, no. I didn't really know. I didn't want it to fly in the house, so I don't know. I just sort of went away.
Oh, true. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Or I came out and I don't remember exactly like what happened, but I didn't leave the door open. because there's no screen in the back doors. I don't want to come in. For that, how do you get a
I
bird
wish
out
I
of your
knew.
house? That'd be crazy.
I wish I knew we were talking about this today because I love birds. I have bird feeders in my
Yeah, I could
backyard. I
tell.
have
I
a
definitely
bird.
can tell.
I
Yeah.
have a bird book. I love sitting outside watching the birds come around.
Just don't like driving by them.
All of these
No, I
bird
know.
incidents
All
were
jokes aside, I know
accidents.
you. I know you care. You had chicks in your room,
Oh,
right?
that's
You guys
right.
raised.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
We
raised
had
chicks,
ducks last year in my pool.
ducks.
We had
Yeah, you.
we they were hatching. We set up a little cam
I
to
know.
watch them hatch.
Wait a
All
minute.
jokes aside, Brugge really does care about animals,
Wait,
and she's very. Don't let this story, tarnish her
My
beautiful,
reputation.
yeah.
beautiful
Broogie,
reputation with birds
I'm
all
looking
around
for
the
my bird
world.
book.
She's well known for her love of
Avid
birds.
lover of birds.
Just
Broogie,
one, one bad
situation?
experience.
What's the parking situation at your new school?
Yeah, how's
So
that?
it is absolutely beautiful.
Really?
So
Okay.
Monday, yeah. So Monday, Tuesday is still outside, but you can definitely find parking. Like it's not, it's a suburban neighborhood.
Like
And
where people who have driveways, like
yes,
okay.
so
So
there's
like the
plenty
street
of
parking is
parking.
open.
Yes, yes.
Um,
It's and it's 30 minutes away from my house. Like it's just a different life. I also just bought an electric car, so like a hybrid. So I haven't even spent gas this year going to work.
well,
So
I want to just paint the picture for some people who aren't familiar with the parking scene in New York City. So if you're in almost all places, there are a few neighborhoods that don't have alternate sides, but alternate sides of the street parking basically is like and this is ludicrous, by the way. Some places will just have it 2 days, like Monday and Tuesday. So on Monday, from like say 8 o'clock in the morning until 11 o'clock, you can't park on one side of the street, and the street sweeper comes down. But before 8 and after 11, you can park there, right? But you can see how this can be a problem for a teacher who's in the school teaching and they can't leave work. And then the next day, the other side of the street will have that. But then there are a lot of places where alternate side of the street parking happens 4 days a week. So Monday and Thursday will be the right hand side of the street. Tuesday and Friday will be the left hand side of the street. And then Wednesday will be like the free day where you don't have to move your car, right? Now, the first thing I want to say is this is absolutely ridiculous
absolutely
because
100% ridiculous.
the street sweeper comes down. It just moves the dirt around, right? It's not cleaning anything. Like, what are we
Like
doing here? It's not
no,
picking up anything. It's just wet. It's like making everything wet and disgusting. You know what I mean? Like, so there's, the idea that we're cleaning the streets and that this is a necessary thing is ridiculous, okay? Especially 4 days a
yeah.
week. But anyway, so that's the alternate side of the street parking regulation thing. There are some neighborhoods that for some reason don't ever have alternate side of the street parking. Did you know that?
Yes, and I don't really know why where we used to work, why was that every day except Wednesday versus other
Exactly.
places
Yeah.
who
It's
don't have it?
Monday,
Like,
Thursday, Tuesday, Friday. Why 4 days a week do people need to move their cars? You know what I mean?
did it have to do with like people coming in to use public like mass transit, like to get into the city? So maybe because it was closer to a subway station and they didn't want people's parking
It,
there over
I,
and I don't
I
know.
don't
I
know.
don't
It's an hour and a half. And then what winds up happening is, and this is if you're in Manhattan, alternate side of street parking, all the cars just stay there and people will sit in their car for 90 minutes. And then when the street
right.
sweeper comes, they'll pull out and they'll pull back in. And you know what I mean? Like, and
Yep.
then, as long as you're in your car, you won't get a ticket basically because, so
And then
yeah.
also in Brooklyn, isn't there some sort of like rule where you can double park your car?
Yes.
What is
Oh,
that
thank
rule?
you. Right. So,
That's like, oh my God,
yes. All right.
forget it.
So
What a nightmare.
on the block where I lived, right in Brooklyn, this is Warren Street and Park Slope. And this is a lot of places too. The streets are wide enough for two cars to fit down, right? So, when it was alternate side of the street parking, if you were on the bad side for that 90 minutes or for that 2 hours, you just take your car and you double park it on the other side. which means two things. You basically have like a line of cars that are parked legally, and then a line of cars that are parked next to those cars in the street, double parked, blocking those cars. So now you either have to sit in your car there or you have to leave your phone number in your car in case the person who's actually parked legally needs to get out, right? So like it's like it becomes this whole game, you know. And then
Do
when
you know why they were able to do like car? Is that illegal to do in Brooklyn, or is it a thing
it's
that's
set,
legal and nobody gets tickets?
no one gets tickets. I'm not sure technically if it's illegal or not. I don't think it's legal to do that for that long. I don't know. But you know,
Okay.
so but that was part of my life, especially when I had two cars and we had to rotate them. So it
Yeah.
was always a challenge.
Not much
Yeah.
input here for me. I'm more of a train guy, but I did have a question on subway life for you guys. I wanted to ask you your opinion on something. Um, if you were ever on, because when I would transfer, I would have to like go to Manhattan and then I would transfer the M train. That's like going to Ridgewood at such an early time. So there would be these times when I'm alone on the train and no one's there, early morning, just me on the train. So if you're in an empty train car and you're there, do you what do you do? You know what I would do?
I fall
I'll let
asleep.
you know. No, I start singing. I sing
Oh,
out
really?
loud.
Ah.
Yeah, out
I mean,
loud.
I have no
Only if
input
it's
on
empty
this.
and complete no. I'm saying I just belt out like like a Broadway melody or something, yeah. And that would be my thing. I would just sing out loud, walk around if I wanted to admit that, but
No,
I
I
just
would
did.
fall asleep because it would be like late night and I was drunk and I
Yeah, but
needed to
that's not
get
safe.
someone.
You, no, you gotta
This
be
is, we're like talking early 2000s. Like
you gotta
it
be
was, I don't
mindful.
know. Yeah. Meh.
It could be dangerous when you're in an empty one because you don't know who's coming in. Because one person comes in, it's like there's really nobody to help you there.
Yeah.
That's the thing with subways, like especially so I told you obviously I'm pretty open on the show. They've struggled with mental health, but it is never more obvious that people struggling with mental health, whether they're homeless or not, or just I don't know why there's so much struggle with that, and it's always on the subway, at
Yeah.
times. I've seen have so many experiences. Like, and then you go to work and then so that's what, one of the reasons, like, I started doing that at the end is like, I just couldn't handle it anymore. I had to have the morning just, get into the right
I think because
Zen
it's
state of
cheap to
mind.
get in. It's cheap to get into
Yes,
the
but
train. It's
an
warm and
hour of just dealing
dry.
with a guy. I remember this is a guy just sitting there and just starts flinching out his hands, punching, and then he would just sit there and then he'd start punching again, right? And then everybody's just like, and everybody always has the same face, like, I got to get to work. This is going to cause a thing. And then he just literally starts screaming and he leaves the train car, right? When the doors open, I was like, okay, he's gone. And then you literally see him on the outside coming by, screaming, and then coming back, right? Then he actually came back in and sat down.
Mm.
And then the train moved and we kept going.
Yeah.
So then the guy's on the train, and you're watching, like, what the hell was that? And he's still there, so you're waiting for him to snap again. That's the reason I started to pay $250 a week.
There was a very brief time in the early 2000s. I lived in Kew Gardens and I felt like it was it was like right before 9/11. Actually. It was before 9/11 and I felt like New York City was almost like Disneyland. Like it was safer in my opinion than it was in the 80s. Like the 80s was crazy, like
When they really
so
cleaned it up with
unsafe.
all the new stuff
They
going
like,
on.
yes,
Yeah,
they
the
got rid
lights
of
and
like the
the
red
Disney
light, quote
shops.
unquote, district with the prostitutes and like
Yeah.
it just was very different than now. Now it's totally unsafe. Yeah.
30 years
Um,
ago, it
but
was
I,
sketchy. It was definite sketchy, and all that stuff. Yeah. They cleaned
yeah.
it up. You're right.
But then, and then unfortunately, it became awful again. And a lot of that had to do with, like you said, there's a lot of mental health issues. COVID
Well, a lot of things
did not
closed
help.
down after COVID. It took a while to get
Yeah.
it back, and then there's certain streets that are still, because I'm there, I'm going, I'm rehearsing at night, so there's certain streets that are still, still sort of, they didn't completely get back yet, even in the Times Square area, and other streets, it's a lot of, there's still a lot of tourists. It's always, you never see it not packed, people everywhere and stuff like that. But it's a
Yeah.
combination. It's not like it was in the early 2000s, like you said. You don't feel that safety thing going on, but you just feel there's so much going on everywhere all the time. It's very busy, So it's a combination of all the new stuff with some of the danger feel of the old stuff mixed in.
Yeah.
Just to switch back for a second, I
Mm.
was thinking of a couple of things. What's the longest commute that you're aware of that someone did to get to school every day?
Oh,
Mm.
um, 2.5 home. There are people who lived out into Suffolk County.
Yeah.
And then I knew people who actually lived in Jersey, like
Mm.
driving from like suburbia Jersey, not like Jersey City where you have to take the
Yeah,
PATH
yeah,
train
yeah,
and
yeah.
then, but like, yeah. So I'm gonna say 2 hours, 2.5 hours
Each
to
way.
get home.
Oh,
Well, no, coming there in the morning, if they left early enough, like if they left at like 5:30 in the morning, they were able to get to work in an hour.
okay,
But
but
going
then,
home, no.
but here's the thing. I'm going at so the time between arriving and the start of like so what Matt said before is important. You can't enter the school before a certain time. I think that was
Right.
7 o'clock. It used to be, right, or something like
Yeah.
that.
And if you're
Yeah.
really far off, you
7.
don't want to risk the problem of being late. So that's why you get there early.
Right. So like
Yeah.
so the time and then even then, let's say that you get in the school at 7, school doesn't start for another hour. Now all right. Technically, you're not getting paid for that time. Like you're getting, like
Correct.
technically your contract, and there's people who would arrive at exactly the start of the school day and leave at exactly the minute. So that's like your paid time, right? If you want to get there at 7 and work from 7 to 8, setting up your room and doing stuff, that's really your time, your own time, your unpaid time, right?
Mhm.
So let's add that in let's add in most of that for the commute. So if you arrive at 6:30 and you're not starting till 8, that's like an hour and a half of your time that you're spending, right?
Yeah.
If you add up all of that time, the 1 hour in the morning to drive plus the hour, I'll just say an hour, not an hour and a half, plus the hour before school even starts, that's 2 hours, and then the 2 hours after school to get home, four
Yep.
hours a day, that's 20 hours a week, right?
Mhm.
So, and that's 80 hours a month minimum. So between 80 and
Yep.
100 hours a month. So all of this is kind of like commuting time, right? And so, and now I know everyone that works for the, well, not everyone, but a lot of people who work, especially before COVID, had a commuting time that you have to factor in, right? And
Mhm.
so I don't know, like that's something to think about. Like,
Well, mentally, it's a break. It wears down on you.
yes,
Like
right.
that's so like Jeff and I would have this discussion all the time and he would be like, you need to leave. Like this is affecting you.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
affecting your relationships with your family. Like you come home, you're exhausted. You're
yep.
in bed by 8 o'clock. You're up by four
Well,
45 in the morning.
I remember that time that you left that, like, because job and you're almost home and there's like a switch. Especially I'm going back like 10 years, almost, I would always have a hard time with the switch from that, from the hectic days to
Yeah.
then, oh, okay, then play with my little guy, you know what I mean? And like, go back. It was a tough transition, you know what I mean? Because it's a very unique, thing that we do as educators. You're basically everyone's parent, all day and all the
Yeah.
drama. And depending on what you had that day. And then there would be a tough switch. And it always happened sort of the same day. It was almost like when I was like just walking home, like I was getting there, and I was just like, okay, I gotta let this go and switch. And I had a hard time with that. Like it was a tough I don't think I've ever had any tougher transition than from teaching to that to home life. Acting, no, after an audition, like I realize I need not to be around people. It's kind of that's an emotional thing also, the process during an audition, because so I know not to be around. After a therapy appointment, I don't want to be around. But after like coming out of like work, you almost need a little time to transition into what you're going to do then at home and stuff. It's tough, letting all that go. It's not an easy process before. And then if you got to go on a train or, so that's why probably it's probably teachers probably put on like podcasts or stuff in their car and listen to music and just try to get out, de-stress. But then if they're sitting in traffic, oh man, the stress that adds on to what they just went through has to be brutal, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Also, like you're sitting in a seat for an hour and a half.
Yep.
Your arm is up in the air
Yep.
driving. Your shoulders starts to hurt. Your legs start to hurt. Like not healthy on your body either.
Also,
Like all my friends who commuted into the city and took the train, like they were able to like relax because nothing else. I don't know.
That that's
They
but
weren't
that's not the
physically
subway.
driving
That's
like
that's like
stress
that's
of
Grand
like,
Central or something like that, not New York City subway you're
yeah,
talking.
no, 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 yeah, I'm talking about the
yeah.
Long Island
Well,
Railroad.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
that's a lot different
no, but
than the
my no,
subway.
but New York City subway though, it is possible. So for example, like my commute, like if you think back and say, what was your favorite time commuting to work, right? It could be, it could be like, well, like there was a time when I commuted and like I would take the train every day with like my friend Laura, you know what I mean? And that was always fun. Like because you're with someone, you know what I mean? So you're walking to the train with them and
yeah,
you're on the train, you take the same train and I get off a few stops before her and so you have someone to like spend the time with and talk. So it's not like you're just sitting there, but and then like when you would pick me up, I would have to I would just walk out of the house, walk down the block and you would swing up and pick me up and sometimes like you would have coffee, you know what I mean? Like that was a nice thing, right? But if I'm thinking
right,
of like myself, like when I lived on 16th and 3rd, and then I would
Mhm.
take the L train,
Yep.
reverse commute. Reverse commute is where you live in Manhattan and you commute to work outside of Manhattan, which like hardly anyone does. So I would walk a couple of blocks over to the 3rd Avenue station. I would go down there. I know exactly what time the train was going to arrive. I get on the L train. The L train is 20 minutes, and I would oftentimes, Matt, be the only person on the subway car going out of
Well,
Manhattan in the morning, and I would just fall asleep. I was so relaxing. It was like
Rob,
great.
I'm joking about, I'm not
Yeah.
joking. I was talking about the mental health. So I don't know. I didn't want to put that trains for me were a negative thing
Oh
because
yeah,
I've
yeah.
taken
Okay.
the subway from growing up in Brooklyn and Sheepshead Bay. I've been
Yeah.
taking trains my whole life. It's a very special thing for me taking the train.
Mm-hmm.
It connects to my father who
Yeah,
took
yeah.
it, you know what I mean? My son loves the subway, like I would write whole plays on my train route,
I
I would
was gonna
study my
ask you that
lines.
because yeah.
I've written, I've done some, writing, and nothing would actually bother me, like, and, until later, just getting to work and the stress. But, in a normal thing, like the craziness and the energy, and it's like, I would just use it, I like the energy, put it on your music, listening there, I just dug it, I didn't like it too calm. I like the little energy and stuff like that. I
Mm-hmm.
love that kind of vibe, and as an artist, like it really appealed to me. Um, so it really just it depends on when there were certain times I couldn't deal with it, but most of my life I felt very connected to, the
Yeah.
subway.
Yep.
yeah,
Mm. I remember being happy for you, Matt, thinking when you would say you would leave school, and I don't know when this was exactly, and you would say, "Oh yeah, yeah, I leave school and I walk down to the Halsey stop, but I go into the
Right.
cafe across the street and I write, like you would go get coffee or
yeah,
something. Like, I don't know what, And so it was like the last few years, but I was like, and I feel like it was when you were like getting seriously back into writing again. And I
Yeah.
was like, it's cool to just have that, because your kids get old enough where like they're in school anyway, and you don't have to like
Right.
rush home and, you don't have to like go through that thing where, when your kids are like under the age of 10, for example, like it's like there's a lot more hustle and bustle and grinding you have to do to like make sure
It's
everything
a little
is
different. Yeah,
going
no, they're on they
smoothly.
right. They're
Right.
yeah, they know what they're doing at that point. Like everything's
Mhm.
set, you know what I mean? Like and
I
things like
agree
that.
with I agree with Rob I when you used to tell us that you would after school, like on your way home, you would go to write or like sit in a
Mhm.
little cafe and write. Like that's nice. That was I don't know.
I
Yeah.
have to, when you wouldn't do it for too long and sort of, and you guys know when you something, Brugge with, travel, Rob is a, gaming connoisseur, and all the things that you're passionate around, Rob, you chocolate, everything, if something's like you just connect to so much, and then you let it go for a long time, it's like
Hmm.
there's something like missing, and it's like that was the hard time. Like, you have to remind yourself to put the energy back into it. Even like working out, right? People probably forget then, oh, they got to make an effort. Writing was one of those things also. You have to like figure out the time, when do you put the energy in? You have to, just
So
allow
you were
some
able
time.
to you would before you went home, you would write. But did you ever write on the train? Did you ever
Yeah.
use that commute as part of the time to write also?
Yeah, well, but writing's one of those things you have to feel it at that time. So, there could be times when, and it really depends on what device you're using. I did try to do a thing where I would take out my laptop, but, depending on where you're sitting and, crunched in, it wouldn't really work. So just notebooks, notes. You can write something in your head. You can have a whole thing mapped out in your head and just put notes down, on something and map it out that way. There's a lot of different ways, but yeah, I would use the time and energy. It's just taking yourself somewhere else, and then, depending on what you're writing and what you're working on.
I
But
find
yeah,
like you
I
two
would
are
use
very motivated.
I would try to use my subway time that way. I would make myself, but depending on what I went through that day, sometimes it was really hard. But there's the thing that you can do is take all that feeling and everything you went through and try to put it into the project that you're doing, and that's a different thing, like to get into a character's mindset, stuff like that.
Right.
And that's, I've tried to do
Like
that with a lot of the mental
we
health stuff I went through. It's just okay, or understand this person and then like put that person in there, and it's just healthier than dealing with it, and like in a
Yeah.
negative way and switching it to a positive.
You guys are very motivated always. Like I felt like I was never as motivated as the two of you.
well, but we
I don't know. I don't
what
agree with that.
wait, what do you mean though? Like you're talking about all this like stuff that we're doing like with the writing.
Yeah, like
Okay, but I
What do
have
you
yeah.
do with your life? You
no,
started
no,
like what about, the travel?
exactly.
No. I'm not saying I'm just saying like
My
I
Puerto
hear
Rican
like you're like,
trip, my
"Oh, I
trip to
was
Puerto
sitting on the
Rico would be, we went to how many times do I go to Puerto Rico? A crazy anxious guy that, like gets nervous going anywhere.
That's
I
not what
felt
I
so safe you were
mean.
helping us. What?
I mean, like, you were very motivated after school to go and sit in a cafe and write. Whereas, like, I would come home and I would just be like, veg out because I wouldn't do anything because I was exhausted. That's all I meant.
We all do that. No, but I think you underestimate yourself in things that you accomplish. And I don't know, every time I've called you, you're also driving somebody, you have 18 people in your car, and and you're like, I can't talk some, there's always something, you know what I mean? Like, like
Oh,
you take on a lot,
yeah.
you're like, so
You
yeah,
know,
give
M-
yourself credit.
Matt, that brings up an interesting point. Couple of things. One, Matt and I have one child.
Hmm.
You have, like Matt, I don't know about you, but when I think of anyone who has more than one child, I think,
Yeah.
how the hell do they do that? You know what I mean?
I
Like
don't
how?
know.
Because I
I
feel
don't
like I'm
know.
barely holding on with one. So just having two, that's one thing. That's already, like Matt and I bow down to people like that.
Yeah, no. The people, yeah, no,
Guys are fun.
that's double the work right there that you have right there, because there's two. And they're two different ages too, right? Was there 3 years between them?
Yeah, they're about, yeah, 4 years apart. Yeah.
4 years apart. Yeah.
It's like you had to
So it's two
start
different
over.
journeys. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I had to start over.
Like when Matt and there's a time where Matt and I changed our last diaper, you know?
Hmm.
Like we gave our last bottle, that kind of thing. You had to start
Yeah,
that thing over, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like and do the whole thing
I
over
remember
again.
I remember always saying that once your kids are able to tie their shoelaces, you're golden because it was just like that milestone that they hit. It's like, all right, they can now do things on their own without my help. And it was like the best moment.
Yeah. But the other thing too is your and I know that like Matt and I both started these things when we were working, but like, when you're still working full time for a place where you have to commute and you have to show up every day and you have to be there all day and commute home, like there isn't a lot of energy left over to do the types of things that Matt and I are, so like making a book or you know what I mean, or like working on a
Yeah.
play or you know what I mean, like so. But that's another thing to think about though too. It's not as easy, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Exhausted.
That's the point, just getting there and coming home.
Yeah.
It's so much more difficult when you have so Brugge now has a different experience because she has a much more relaxed commute. And you could
Yes.
probably
So
I'm assuming
and
you can put a
so
lot
much
more
better.
energy into things you'd like to put your energy into besides your job, which takes up a lot of your
Yeah.
energy. You know,
Yeah, I can't even put into words how different I feel like mental health wise without that commute. That commute was
Yeah.
just I never realized how exhausted I was just from driving, just from driving.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
Um, anyone
Yeah.
else before we wrap this up, anyone else have any interesting stories? Any nothing to share, nothing. The North
trying to
Carolina
think.
Um,
the North Carolina State Fair is happening right. Oh, this is a little. The North Carolina State Fair is happening now in Raleigh, which is close to me. Sam's actually there right now. And so this is like a big thing. Like people come from all over, So I don't know if this is not really a New York thing. So I was like, this was a new thing for me when I moved down here. You go to the state fair, and it's kind of like Charlotte's Web, where they have like best pig,
Wilbur!
like, yeah, some pig, and so it's like, like they have like one section is like the biggest pumpkin. You know what I mean? Like, so they have these pumpkins the size of like cars. You know what I mean? Like they're freaking huge. And then they have like gigantic like animals and all these different competitions. But then they have like a lot of people go for the food, and so it's like like everything you could ever imagine fried, like deep fried. So this year apparently the new craze is fried watermelon.
oh wow,
Ooh,
So I
I
want to see.
don't know.
We
Is
just,
that
yeah,
good?
exactly. We had a
I would eat
conversation
that.
about this last night. I want to see what you guys think. First thought that comes to your mind when you hear deep fried watermelon.
No,
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
gross.
But
No,
Matt,
thank you.
but then
No,
Matt,
I would probably try it.
yeah, I looked at pictures of it and I was like,
All
it
right,
kind
wait. I
of,
have a question though. Like, how is it
Really an
fried?
art
Like
to
deep
making it.
fried? Is it what kind of oil is it? Is
no,
it
no,
like the
right.
same oil that you would use to fry like a
So
turkey? Like, what are we talking about?
no, so all of these things basically, you take the item, whether it's an Oreo or a Snickers bar, they actually have fried ice cream as well, or
Oh, yeah, yeah.
so you take whatever, you dip it in batter, and whatever the batter is, like a pancake batter or something, and then you dip it into the oil, and it gets and like so it's basically like the watermelon is coated in a fried crunchy batter, like um. But it's probably something on the sweeter side, but like pancake batter or something. But that's the
I
gist,
don't know why I'm thinking of pickles because there's so many different ways you can make pickles
Yeah,
too. So
fried
I
pickles.
went to
Ever
a
fried
pickle fair.
pickles?
Yeah, I went to a pickle fair in Manhattan once. That was really cool. So
I
yeah, I mean,
went to there's a pickle shop in William by the Williamsburg Bridge.
Yeah.
mm,
Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Well, is it on the Manhattan side or the Brooklyn side?
you had me at pickle.
It's on the Manhattan side.
The
It's a
pickle
pickle
guys.
shop where they have
Oh, the
barrels.
pickle. Oh, the pickle guys.
Yeah.
Maybe I remember going there and buying pickles. I also remember meeting Rob, I met you, Carlene, and Sam was a little baby, and I
Yep.
was with a woman that we worked with, and we met you guys at a pickle fair or a
Yeah.
pickle something
Well,
in
maybe it was the one
Manhattan.
that
I
I went
remember.
to. Uh,
Well, Ronnie Sue, the chocolatier, had her pickle bonbons. Like she had chocolate bonbons with pickle inside, which
mm.
Oh my
sounds
God,
not good, but it was really good.
sounds
There was this pickle shop in Midwood, in Brooklyn. I remember, I would go to, and the guy changed. He had this big, one of the big, huge, container things that you would get your pickles out of. And not everybody, I don't know, everybody thinks that's sanitary, but he was in a big jar, and you take the thing, the clippers, and you pull out your pickles, and I just loved going there because it was the best pickles, and he stopped at it. It was just like bags of pickles, and so you couldn't pick your own pickles. And I would go to the guy, and he was sort of like an Orthodox Jewish guy, and then I go to him at the counter, and I'd say to him like, "Where's the jar? Where's the big jar of pickles?" I was like, and everybody wanted, so I took it away, and I sort of looked at him, and I was like, "I like the jar better," and he went, "Eh."
He's like, yeah, I don't really
That
care
was the
what you
whole
want.
conversation.
Yeah, I don't give a
And
shit what
Cindy
you
was
want.
there, and we always remembered we always would say, we would always just let her remember. She was like, "That was the funniest thing I ever heard in my life," because I was just like, that was his like saying like brushing me off, like that's as far as he wanted to go with it.
So good. That's very funny.
Oh, I did want to say like, did you ever guys ever go to Ellen's Stardust Diner in Manhattan in the Times Square area?
No.
It's just
I
like,
know where it is. I just
you know
thought that
what
it
it
was
is though? Like what happens?
touristy, so that's why I never went. It's like a
It's what?
tourist trap, right? Isn't
Well,
it like a
well,
tourist trap? That's why I never went.
Well, they took me there so it was my 50th birthday, so I went, Peter Luger said he took me out Friday for my birthday, right? You guys know. So Dylan was back he went camping for a few days, so he didn't get to do something for my birthday. So Cindy and Dylan took me to Ellen Stardust Diner. And we never went. And I didn't really even know what it was. So, you wait online, you go in, and then there's so you know, you, we were up on the best seats. You sit on the top, right, around the counter, and you get performances of these really great people. A lot of them are either on Broadway or doing an off-Broadway show or just up and coming actors. And their singing was fantastic. And you get all these numbers, they did, Little Shop of Horrors and everything. And you're sitting there, you're eating and everything, you're drinking. It was just so much fun. But they do a birthday thing every hour, which I didn't know about, where they say, all right, if it's your birthday or around your birthday, stand up. And I didn't even know about this. So I was like, I look at them and they're cracking up. So you stand up and then a few people stand up. They're like, so we're gonna do this as we sing happy birthday. But what you guys have to do is you have to embarrass yourselves because that's what it's about. Embarrass yourselves on your birthday. You have to dance during it. So they're singing happy birthday, and I was just like, oh man. So I'm dancing, I'm using the chair. I put on my sunglasses at the end and everything. I just, I hammed it up. But it was a lot of fun. It was cool. Yeah, no, I recommend it. If you don't mind waiting on the line for about 20 minutes, to go in and but it's definitely
Cool.
a lot of fun, especially if you like, if you want to hear some great singing and Broadway style stuff, as you're having some, burgers or whatever. And it's a lot, it's a fun thing. I didn't even realize, exactly um, how much fun it is, but it was definitely a cool little stop to do.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
sounds
Nice.
it's
cool.
touristy, but definitely it's usually people waiting to go see a show.
Yeah, guys,
And
I should have started off with that. We should have said like happy birthday to the two of you. Your birthdays were both
Rob, yeah,
last week.
Rob's
Happy
October 18th. I'm
birthday.
October 16th. Yeah,
Hmm.
we right near each other, 49 and 50.
Yeah,
Well, this was a good
nice.
one. And
Yes, it was.
we have a couple of topics. Well, we have a backup topic for next time, and then we always have the
Desks.
desk topic that we can throw in there. Yes.
I feel like
Yeah, you know what?
we should
I
probably never get to the desks,
No,
because
I do
that's
want to do the desk because we actually have a long history with like desks, like the whole thing about the side office and the main classroom not being allowed to not being allowed to sit at your desk. Like
That's a big thing, like, and there's a reason that
Yeah.
they would say that, but I was against that you
Right.
don't sit down.
I
Because I
mean,
always felt like when you sit down at a certain spot, you can see
yeah.
everything.
Yep.
But if you're constantly moving around, right, you're missing about, 70% of what's happening in your
Yep.
room. And they always wanted you to circulate to work with somebody. I was like,
Wait,
but there,
let's
we'll
save
save
it.
it.
Let's save it for
All right.
desks. Yeah. So
All
this
right. Save it for
is
desks.
that's how exciting
Let's
this
save it
topic
for
is.
desks. That will never happen.
Like,
It'll never happen. I feel like the last episode we're about to say, and the last one's gonna be. Oh, we're gonna stop now. Boom, and we'll just leave it out there. It's like the ending of The Sopranos, and just kind of
wait, don't
stops.
say I
Fade
didn't.
to black.
I haven't watched The Sopranos yet, so
Oh,
What?
what?
I've never seen it. Oh, I've seen a couple of
Oh,
episodes, but I've never watched like The Sopranos.
Wait, are you guys watching Gen
what a
V yet? Are you
spoiler!
guys watching Gen
I
V?
started.
What do you
Which
think?
one?
I like because I like The Boys. I like Heroes. Remember that old
Okay.
one, Heroes? Like I
Yeah.
liked all
Oh,
that
yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Heroes. Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
Rob,
Yeah.
you're at the beginning of Sopranos.
No, I haven't even started it. Like I've randomly seen a few episodes just because like I just have somehow, but I never actually watched The Sopranos.
So if you watch it, Big Pussy on is his character on the show. That was my last acting coach.
Yeah, no,
Just so
I
you
know
know.
that. Yeah.
Okay, I told you that.
I know
All
exactly
right.
who you're talking about there, but I
Okay.
just
It's the best
I do
story.
intend to sit down and watch The Sopranos from start to finish, though.
Okay, no, you
As
got
you
it.
should.
All right. On that note, as I just spoiled the ending of Sopranos for Rob, we'll end with that. And I'm Matt. This is Rob. This is Brugge. Of course, thanks for stopping by to Playing Teacher, and we'll catch you next time.
See ya.
Bye.